Medicine is a world of constant discovery. Every day, doctors and scientists work tirelessly to understand the complexities of the human body. They celebrate victories in treatment and prevention, yet some medical cases defy easy explanation. These mysteries remind us of how much we still don't know. They challenge our understanding of the delicate balance between mind and body. This essay delves into two such cases. These stories are reminders of the profound impact that the unexplained can have on our lives. The year was 2008. It was a time of change and uncertainty for many, but for Brian Thomas and his wife Christine, it was a year that would be etched in their memories forever. In a peaceful coastal village in Wales, where the serene landscapes and the gentle sound of the waves provided a perfect backdrop for a quiet life, the Thomas family found solace and happiness. Brian Thomas and his wife Christine were enjoying a rare evening out. The mood was joyous. They laughed, reminisced about old times, and looked forward to the future with hope and optimism. They were celebrating positive news about Christine's health. After months of uncertainty and worry, the doctor's words had brought a wave of relief and joy to their lives. After dinner, they returned home, content and ready for a peaceful night's sleep. The warmth of their home enveloped them, and they felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life they shared. Hours later, their lives were irrevocably changed. The tranquility of the night was shattered by an unforeseen and tragic event. Brian, a man who loved his wife deeply, was seized by an episode of sleepwalking. This was not the first time he had sleepwalked, but this episode was unlike any other. He was not aware of his actions. In his unconscious state, he moved through the house, his mind trapped in a dreamlike state where reality and illusion blurred. In his unconscious state, he believed he was fighting off an intruder, protecting his beloved Christine. His instincts took over, and he acted out of a primal need to defend his home and his wife. The tragic reality was far different. There was no intruder, no threat. The danger was a figment of his sleep-addled mind. Brian, in his sleepwalking state, fatally harmed Christine. The love of his life was gone, and the peaceful village was left in shock and mourning. The incident raised questions about the mysteries of the human mind and the tragic consequences that can arise from its depths. When Brian woke, he was met with the horrific consequences of that night. He was devastated. He was immediately arrested. The shock and confusion were overwhelming as he struggled to comprehend the reality of what had transpired. The police, acting on the evidence at hand, had no choice but to take him into custody. Brian's mind raced, trying to piece together the fragmented memories of the night, but it was all a blur. The weight of the situation began to sink in, and he felt an immense sense of dread and sorrow. The authorities were faced with an impossible case. The evidence was both compelling and perplexing. Detectives and legal experts pored over every detail, trying to make sense of the tragedy. The courtroom became a battleground of emotions and facts, as both the prosecution and defense presented their arguments. The complexity of the case was evident, and it was clear that this was not a straightforward matter of guilt or innocence. How could a man who loved his wife so dearly be responsible for such a tragedy? Their love story was well known among friends and family, a testament to their deep bond and affection. Brian's confusion and distress were palpable as he looked at photos of happier times. The juxtaposition of their joyful memories with the current nightmare was heart-wrenching. It was a question that haunted everyone involved in the case. The investigation meticulously pieced together the events of the evening. Every piece of evidence was scrutinized, from the smallest detail to the most glaring fact. Investigators worked tirelessly, reconstructing the timeline and trying to understand the sequence of events. The process was painstaking, but it was necessary to uncover the truth. The evidence began to paint a clearer picture, but it also raised more questions. Evidence confirmed Brian's history of sleepwalking. Medical records and expert testimonies revealed a long-standing condition that had gone largely unnoticed. Doctors explained the nature of sleepwalking, a disorder that can lead individuals to perform complex behaviors while in a state of partial arousal from deep sleep. This revelation was a turning point in the case, providing a possible explanation for Brian's actions. It was clear that he had no control over his actions during the episode. The medical experts detailed how sleepwalking episodes can lead to actions that the individual is completely unaware of. Brian's case was a textbook example of this phenomenon. The defense argued that his actions were not premeditated or intentional, but rather the result of a medical condition. This understanding brought a new perspective to the case, challenging the initial assumptions of guilt. Eventually, all charges against Brian were dropped. The court recognized the compelling medical evidence and the lack of intent behind his actions. The judge's verdict was a moment of relief for Brian, but it was also bittersweet. The legal battle was over, but the emotional and psychological scars remained. The courtroom, once a place of intense scrutiny and judgment, now became a symbol of his exoneration. It was a legal victory overshadowed by unimaginable loss. Brian's freedom came at a great cost. The absence of his beloved wife was a void that could never be filled. The empty bed, the quiet house, and the memories of their life together were constant reminders of what he had lost. The courtroom, now empty and silent, echoed the somber reality of his situation. The victory in court could not erase the pain and sorrow that he felt every day. Brian was left to grapple with the overwhelming grief and guilt of that night. The weight of his actions, though unintentional, bore heavily on his conscience. He spent countless hours reflecting on the events, trying to make sense of the senseless. Visiting his wife's grave became a regular part of his life, a way to stay connected to her memory. The grief was a constant companion, and the guilt was an ever-present shadow. His story serves as a stark reminder of the power and the unpredictability of the human mind. The case of Brian Thomas highlights the complexities of the human brain and the mysteries that still surround it. It is a tale of love, loss, and the unforeseen consequences of a medical condition. As we look to the horizon, contemplating the vast unknowns of the mind, Brian's story urges us to approach with empathy and understanding. It is a poignant example of how fragile and unpredictable life can be, and how we must navigate it with compassion. In 2016, in the serene and picturesque mountains of West Virginia, Lauren was eagerly preparing for a much-anticipated weekend getaway with her husband Mark. They had been planning this trip for months, looking forward to a break from their busy lives. The couple was filled with excitement and joy as they packed their bags and set off on their journey. They were thrilled to spend quality time together, away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, reconnecting and making new memories. However, their joy was shattered in an instant. As they drove through the winding mountain roads, a sudden and tragic car accident occurred. Lauren witnessed her husband's sudden death in the horrific crash. The shock and grief were immediate and overwhelming, leaving her in a state of utter despair. The trauma of the accident was profound. Lauren's world had been turned upside down in a matter of seconds, and she struggled to comprehend the magnitude of her loss. In the days that followed, Lauren began to experience severe physical symptoms. What started as a deep emotional pain soon manifested into something more alarming. She began experiencing intense chest pain and shortness of breath, symptoms that were both frightening and debilitating. The pain was so severe that she was rushed to a local hospital. At the hospital, a series of tests were conducted to determine the cause of her symptoms. The results revealed alarming abnormalities in her heart function, which puzzled the medical team. Initially, doctors suspected that Lauren had suffered a heart attack. However, her age and lack of prior heart issues made this diagnosis seem unlikely. Something didn't add up. Lauren was a young, healthy woman with no history of heart problems. The medical team was determined to uncover the true cause of her condition, leading them to explore other possibilities. Section 5. A medical mystery unfolds. Lauren's diagnosis. Lauren was transferred to J.W. Memorial Hospital in Morgantown for specialized care. Despite the severity of her symptoms, further tests painted a confusing picture. Her coronary arteries were clear, ruling out a traditional heart attack. Doctors were baffled. How could a seemingly healthy young woman experience such severe heart failure? Enter Dr. Falinger, a cardiologist known for his sharp intuition. Reviewing Lauren's case, he noticed a detail that had been overlooked: the immense emotional stress she had endured. He recalled a rare condition he had read about in a medical journal: Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. Section 6. The Mind-Body Connection. Understanding broken heart syndrome. Broken heart syndrome is a real physical condition triggered by extreme emotional stress. It often mimics the symptoms of a heart attack. The surge of stress hormones, particularly adrenaline, can temporarily weaken the heart muscle, leading to chest pain, shortness of breath, and even heart failure. Dr. Falinger suspected that this was the invisible force impacting Lauren's health. Section 7. A Doctor's Intuition. Lauren's Path to Recovery. Dr. Feilinger's hunch proved correct. Further tests confirmed the diagnosis of broken heart syndrome. Lauren's case was a stark reminder of the powerful connection between the mind and body, how profound grief could manifest as a physical ailment. With the correct diagnosis, Lauren received medication to stabilize her blood pressure and reduce the damaging effects of stress hormones. Slowly, her heart began to heal. Her story is a testament to the importance of recognizing the impact of emotional well-being on physical health. It also highlights the critical role of observant and empathetic doctors in solving medical mysteries. Section 8. Beyond the Surface. Reflecting on Medical Mysteries. Brian's and Lauren's stories offer a glimpse into the world of unexplained medical phenomena. They remind us that the human body, for all its intricacies, is still not fully understood. These cases urge us to look beyond the surface, to acknowledge the interplay of physical, mental, and emotional factors in health and illness. Section 9. A call for empathy and understanding. As we delve deeper into the realm of medical mysteries, let us approach these stories with a sense of wonder and a commitment to empathy. For those who navigate the uncharted territories of unexplained illnesses, understanding and support are paramount. By sharing their stories, we shed light on the complexities of the human experience and inspire further exploration in the pursuit of medical knowledge.